Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Natalie Hine. I'm the Associate Director of Screenings and Events here at the PGA. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you guys to this Q&A today with producers behind RuPaul's Drag Race. Joining us today is Executive Producer Tom Campbell and Executive Producer Mandy Salangsang. Before we get started, a quick thank you to MTV for making today's panel for RuPaul's Drag Race possible. Leading today's conversation is Ryan Fleming, Deadline's Crafts Editor for Awards. Welcome, Ryan. Thank you for being here, and I will turn this conversation over to you.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race.
Thank you.
So first thing that I want to talk about, kind of starting right before the beginning of the season, is the queens for this season. I mean, obviously, they need to be prepared for everything when they go on RuPaul's Drag Race. How did you find the queens for this season?
Mandy, you want to go?
Oh, sure. Well, we work with an extraordinary casting team who's been with us since the very beginning. And they, luckily we have the popularity of the show that reaches out to the young queer performers who have so many of them at this point grown up with the show, and so each season we've got hundreds of auditions, that we go through, and our team and RuPaul, we go through every single one of them, and look for it's an extensive search all across the country, and we look for the performers who really connect, not only in terms of what they're delivering in their stage performances, in their fashion, in their short videos that they may produce, but also in their personalities. Who's going to sit down and give a dynamic and compelling interview? Who's going to be part of a larger ensemble that are going to really work well and complement one another in the workroom and in the challenges. There's so much fierce competition. Fierce talent out there these days. So many people doing different types of drag, bringing incredible, fresh takes on fashion and performances that thankfully the pool is deep. And we're so lucky to have worked with this cast this season, as we are every season, but they really brought some magic this season.
I noticed from the early casting, when we released the cast and it goes public, that everyone was like, "Oh, they're so young! Oh, they're so young! They're so young!" And I think Lexi Love, who was our jokingly our grandmother, was 33 years old. But I think that criticism was unfounded and went away very quickly, because it is a young crop of queens this year, and we don't plan it that way. We don't say let's have a young season. We just go for, like Mandy said, the people that pop out, that aren't just carbon copies of another kind of reality contestant, and they are amazing. The singing and the dancing, musicals, and the acting, and
fashion.
The fashion was off the hook this year. It's like, we always talk about how at the end of a season, we're like so in love with our cast. We've had the grand finale, we're weeping, they come back, they've gone up, and then a bunch of new people come in. And you're always like, well, you're not going to be as good as last year's girls. And this season, exceptionally, exceeded all of our expectations.
Absolutely. And it is a process. The executive producers, we gather, we look at them, and RuPaul looks at every single tape, really looking for that spark, that magic in each of them. So, he goes in very invested, as we all do, in what this new group will bring. And they always blow us away. They far exceed our expectations.
I think it also goes to show the influence of RuPaul's Drag Race on a younger generation, because that is people who grew up with RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is interesting also to hear that's how they're chosen, and not from getting pies in the face at Squirrel Games.
Well,
so tell me a little bit about the intro to the season with the Squirrel Games this year.
Mandy can give you the breakdown. I just want to say, we're always like, we're thinking of in between seasons, we're still working because we're thinking about drag, samples pop culture. And it just so happened we were starting up the development for this year months before the show even was produced. And I think the Squid game, reality show was on. And Randy Barbado, co-founder of World of Wonder, executive producer, comes in and it was just we'd watched binge the whole thing. It was like, we need to parody this. We need to do something. And we're kind of like, oh, okay. We kind of caught up. We watched. And then it was about what is the drag twist of it. And Mandy can tell you about all the different shapes and sizes and different kinds of pies that were involved in that.
Sure. I mean, it was, as Tom said, drag samples pop culture, and we're all such fans of pop culture, of film and of television. And as Tom said, we were obviously well aware of the Squid Game and its popularity, and it's ripe for parody, especially for Drag Race. And it was about how do we bring our own sort of flavor to it, and we sampled various sort of squib ways for them to, as they're delivering their what's our parody to a red light, green light? Well, it's stop and strike a pose. And then what happens if you don't strike the right pose? And we'd sampled a few different squib options to parody their blood from the movie and their squid ink from the.
We're not really into blood and guns on RuPaul's Drag Race.
No. So we tried confetti, of course, first. And sequin, but that didn't work so well. I mean, it worked okay, but we were like, it's not yet there. It's not right exactly. And then of course the pie is where we always go. So we had to sample every type of pie that there was, from lemon.
What's the perfect
yeah. So it ended up being a cherry filled pie with whipped cream and just the right amount of ooze and goos, and of course our alumni queens and the other queens who participated, who were so game and who knew they were coming to play, and they were prepared to get a little messy, but as soon as it was revealed what exactly they'd be doing, they were so game, and they were saying so much fun with it, and they brought so much magic, I think, to our premiere, which along with the new cast of queens made it really special.
It's always fun to bring queens of the past back, and it's really fun to get to beam them with pies in the face.
Right. And of course we had little pound cake waiting in the wings to take up the role of the spinning doll. It was perfect for our purposes. So we had
our production design team did an incredible job kind of recreating on our challenge budget to recreate this kind of epic motion. Nick, our director, did a great job of shooting it, and I loved all that. Kylie Love Sonique was the only one who said she would not take a pie in the face, but she would take one in the ass. Which again, giving it all for the team.
Yeah, you can imagine it was a really, really fun way to kick off the season. It was our first day of production, and it set the tone for, I think, a really exciting season where we were trying to do new things, to, as we always are, just to trying to do bigger, flashier, funnier, more shocking. So it was a blast.
So coming into every new season like that, wanting to do bigger, better, flashier things, what is that process like? I mean, you're just saying that, in the finale, it's like, we love these queens, these new ones come in, they can't be as good as the old ones. But it's the same thing with these challenges and everything. You're like, this season was amazing. This next one can't be as good as the last one. And then you do it.
Right.
That's very nice of you to say. I mean, we literally just sleep, eat, and breathe this. It's a lot. We do get new people, but it's a lot of the same people who've been here for years and years and years. And we're perfectionists, and we're always pushing ourselves. Ru's pushing ourselves. We don't want to be bored. We don't want Ru to be bored. We don't want the queens to be too far ahead of us. We're always trying to throw some things in. and like I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but like the Badunkadunk tank was another thing in that same room, probably not the same day as Squid Game, but maybe it was, or Squirrel
Maybe.
Game. And I think it was Randy. Randy comes and goes, "Well, you know, we were kind of just thinking like, you know, we bring queens back. We love that. What's the saving? What can we do? We had chocolate bars, whatever." And I think, and I'm not saying this because we all say really stupid, fun things that we usually just laugh, think is brilliant, and then go, "No, that's a really bad idea." And I said, you know, like a dunk tank, and then I'm moving on. And Randy's like, wait, dunk tank, and then the dunk tank. And then we start to make puns, which we are,
Yeah.
it's like some kind of curse that we are just turned into like pun making machines. And then
Right.
we think who should be up there, and we went through then it's like Michelle should be up there with her new body, and it was not hard to convince Michelle to
Right.
sit beautifully like a bathing beauty on top of our dunk tank.
I mean, Ryan, the thing is that it may sound cliche, but we have so much fun doing this. The group of us that come together every year, from producers all the way down to including every so many crew members come back year after year after year. We love what we do. We're so proud of what we do. We have so much fun doing what we do. So we sit around and it's like it feels like party games at first. You come up with these ideas and you're like, no way. Wait a minute. What? We're gonna do it.
Or
You
that's
know,
fun, but we've done something like that. What makes it dumber? You know, what can we do to
yeah.
like put a twist on it?
So we just have a blast doing it, and we love pushing ourselves. And we have a great team, and it's season 17 was a pretty magical to do together. Yeah.
And so you do have these staples also in the season. I mean, there's, you know, the Rusical every year. There is snatching. There's these things. Can you talk a little bit about the Rusical this year? Choosing the Wicked Wiz of Oz.
Well,
For this
the key to a good musical is, you know, RuPaul's always like, every story's already been written. You don't have to write a new story. Just think, you know, obviously we're doing parodies, but like, what's something people already know about? And we knew it was a wicked year. We actually also knew that Ariana and Cynthia were circling us. They ended up landing in All Stars, but they were circling us. So we thought, oh, let's do something for Cynthia and Ariana, who'd both been on the show, who we're so excited to have back again
Mhm.
for All Stars. And we were like, well, do you do Wicked? And we don't know what the movie's going to be like. We all know the play. And well, there's the Wiz, you know, we're always trying to be inclusive. And then so we just decided to do the Wicked Wiz of Oz. And then I can't, it's such a group thing with John Pauly and Michael Seligman. And we all kind of put our heads in. And the idea of doing kind of like, you know, if you're old enough to remember, but it's like chorus line meets, which is like all of them standing in a line with the
Mhm.
posters over their face, trying to get a part in the big show. And that was our enough of inspiration, that plus everything we know about all the different, you know, things. And it, you know, Leland did the music and he does such an amazing job. And I swear to God, you know, before Dorothy, there's so many songs and you know, it's got soul. I mean,
Mhm.
constant and the fun we have making it, and we're so excited. We do them relatively quickly, you know, just because we have to because of production
Oh,
schedule. But
relatively.
we are but it's this magic machine, I say, because
Yeah.
we all, again, David Steinberg also does musicals for us, but Leland and David usually do one a year for us, and so we've done this before. We know what it's like. We know what the crunch feels like. We know, you know, how to break it all down. So we're not MGM Studios. It's not the golden age of movies, but it's the golden age of musicals. Like we know what
Yes.
we're doing, and it just happened that was just the perfect thing to parody this year.
And something that was really exciting about it this year was that going into production, we thought, should they sing this year? Should we actually have them sing? Will we have vocalists enough to handle such a challenging musical? And boy, did we. I mean, it just was remarkable what some of them, all of them ultimately, but what some real standouts vocally that really brought some magic, further magic to the musical. It was really, really special,
Well,
I
we
think, to all
had
of us.
what was the name of the challenge? Yes, I'm a
Uh-huh.
drag queen,
Bitch,
or
I'm a drag queen.
Bitch, I'm a Drag Queen, which was short little musical parodies, and we knew
Mhm.
like the second episode or third episode, and we're like,
Yeah. Early.
I remember calling Leland, this cast can sing. We're good. We're good. Because
Yeah.
we're making decisions at the last minute, like, do we bring in vocalists? Do we have them sing? But again, this is another area, a specific area where the cast blew us away. Blew us away. Like, wow, it's a cast of singers and let's go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just always incredible that you find that moment where you're like, oh, everyone here can sing. We're good.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
musical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that musical really, I'll speak a little bit more to just even the costumes and certainly the choreography with Jamal Sims and the lighting design and the screen content. It we've done, we're in love with all the musicals we've done, but this one it felt truly magical this time around, and so a lot of what everybody working on the show, from the queens to the
Yeah.
various
The Wizard
departments,
of Oz
camera.
is Rue's favorite movie. Jamal's favorite movie is The Wiz. It's like I'm obsessed with Wicked. Not that, but just like everybody's enthusiasm level is like at
Yeah.
11 going into it. And I think it shows. And the Queens too. But
Yeah. And so you can imagine though that there could have been, we could have felt like, but no, my gosh, the way that they delivered, just incredible. Yeah.
And there was a question, I think Stephen Corr was like, are we all going to be a little wicketed out by this point? And I'm like, no, no. We have to do it.
Right.
And then, like I was saying, some of the other staples, were there any? I mean, I feel like every year there's always, whenever there's Snatch Game, there's always going to be some surprises for people who don't do well or people who do really well.
Mm-hmm.
For the two of you, were there any surprises or people who just kind of came out of the gate unexpected?
Well, go ahead. Oh, well, Jules and Bigfoot, right? I mean, I think that was a surprise for everyone. It's a funny thing that happens when they all, when we do our initial blocking for the challenge and everybody sort of takes their first seat in their characters, and you look up and you're like, what's happening here? What is this? Who's she playing? What's she doing? And then the first time you hear them do the voice or something, and then they bring the character to life. And I can recall that being a surprising moment for me, that she was able to really bring something unexpected. And for her, it was a different thing, and it surprised, I think, a lot of the queens as well.
And just Snatch Game in general, it's the love-hate of like, it is the toughest challenge on the show in a way. It's like, it's either you hit it or you don't. There's very little middle ground. And, there are years, and Ru's very involved in it. Ru is 50% or more of that challenge. He is with them live, pumping, going off their energy, vice versa. And there'll be years where Ru's just like, I don't know if we can do this again. We shoot it late in the afternoon. He's like, I don't know if we can do this again. And then we watch it, and it's always better than we think. And it's also, it is the, I'm not gonna use a word I don't know, but it is it is the test.
Yeah.
It is like, because usually even the Snatch Game is something, well, Snatch Games used to be great. And this year, every year people say that last year's was great this year, but it's like, there's always one or two who knock it out of the park. And there's always one or two who just do not perform in that. By the way, it's a very non-natural, there's no studio audience. Everyone's friendly, but it's one of those things where I think about this the whole show. It's like, if you have a low blood sugar moment on this show, you're out. If you just like one afternoon you're feeling a little like, oh, I need a snack, you can be off your Snatch Game, and if you get shot, a day later, it could be different. So I
personally could never do it. I could never do it. You're standing there. RuPaul is posing the questions. Standing right there. You're the whole, like Tom says, there's no studio audience. So you're really working to hear Ru's laugh, and there's crickets in the room. You don't know how you're doing. It's very intimidating for them. And for the ones who do it well, it's a true a testament to their talent.
And people
And
love
they did.
twists.
There were
We love doing
several.
twists on Snatch Game too.
Yeah, there were several that did well this season, though. The Eddie Murphy. Susie did pretty well. Lexi performed.
Lexi's very controversial. I'm not going to get into the Lexi love. It's Ru's show, Ru's rules. We let that go as it is.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's also funny because it always seems to be the one that the queens are the most excited for beforehand.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, the other challenge has become a staple is RDR Live, which
Mhm.
was born out. It's fun because we get to, you know, we make the sketches tighter and better, and it's fun, and we've had, you know, now guest stars come on and join the
Mhm.
festivities. But it's born out of, again, we know we have so little time for queens to learn lines. And RuPaul was on SNL and everything's on cards. And I got to go and sort of be backstage and watch him do it. And we're like, let's do SNL where it's like, let's take the time constraint and the idea that we're doing this overnight and there's only one take, and let's build that into the thing. So it's RDR Live, and it's proven to be, you know, the words are there. It's not like, oh, you didn't remember your lines criticism. It's like, did you bring it when the camera hit? Were you able to like be funny, do the chemistry? And so that's a really good test. And it's a nice place. We always try to produce to give the queens the best chance to shine. And so this
Right.
challenge is a good one where we get to sort of like present them with something we hope material that helps elevate them, and then they can take it again, knock it out of the park, or have a low sugar day, low blood sugar day.
It's always low blood sugar day. That's that's how they get kicked out.
That's the new excuse. I was in my inner saboteur. I had low blood sugar.
So on those competitions like RDR Live, and you have the Snatch Game and all these things, it is really interesting having all these different aspects tested. I mean, like you're mentioning RDR Live, where it's not the same as performing without cue cards because you don't have to have that memorization. You just have to bring it.
Yep.
So when you're planning all these challenges, how do you kind of plan these things to have all of these different aspects of, okay, this one's a design challenge or this one's a performance, but they don't need to remember everything.
Yeah.
They just need to bring it on this day.
I think it's simple as we just try not to repeat ourselves, and we bust each other. It'll be like, oh, you know, I'll pitch my idea. She's like, yeah, that's like RDR Live. And we're like, oh, but there's a seed here that we like, or, you know, we'll turn it into an improv challenge, which is much more where the queens, you know, get to make it up. You know, we're not giving them lines at all. We're just giving them a character. Go make that happen. So I think it makes it fun for the audience. It shows the different ways the queens can excel. And again, you know, All Stars is when they come back and they've learned how to do it. So many people, you know, these queens are learning how to make television while they're on television. It is like, you know, Drag You in terms of, you know, and Ru is there. I mean, we have the whole crew, obviously, but Ru is literally, when he's there, telling them how to look at the camera, how to, you know, find their light, how to find their blocking, not to block his camera. Very important. He's like, you're in mama's camera. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch them learn in front of us. And it's always fun to see them come back for the finale, because by that time alone, they're like, oh, I get it. You know, like I've had this incredible kind of my learning experience, my college experience on air. So it's exciting to watch, I think, for us, and I think for the viewers.
And so much of the formula that is the creative for the drag race competition are trying to find within each of them the qualities that putting them through some of the paces that Ru had in his own career, you know, from the fashion.
That was the initial thing. Ru's done movies. Ru's recorded music. Ru's been on game shows. Ru, you know, has had to fashion
posed in magazines. Yeah.
Ru's has written music, all that stuff.
Right. And so the challenges are designed to test that in search for America's Next Drag Superstar, to have some fashion challenges, to have challenges where they're posing as fashion models, or where they're making their, you know, garments out of, you know, unconventional items, or they're doing acting, or they're doing improv, or singing, or dancing, or all the things. I mean, it's multifaceted, right? I mean, they're changing tires, no? But
And
maybe someday.
because, you know, we always say, you know, they need to do some kind of TikTok video. We always like, we're like old people telling the kids what to do. But if you go on YouTube and you look at what RuPaul used to do with a video camera in the East Village of New York in the 80s and 90s, and what he's doing now on his TikTok feed, he does crazy little viral moments, and it's just we're trying to incorporate more of that into the show too, because Ru was kind of the original TikTok. Before there was the platform, Ru is a master at creating these little moments, these little vignettes, these
bites,
hilarious bites.
Yeah.
I can only imagine then that Rue is also a big influence on keeping the series fresh every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He said, he's said forever, he goes, at this point, Rue's been doing this a long time. I'm talking Drag Race. I'm talking, what he's been doing. And he's like, the hardest thing to do is to keep interested, is to, and I think that's our challenge. He challenges himself with that. Like what, when you wake up, you like, I want to go to work. When and it's like, that is what he brings to Drag Race for us and as our fearless leader. And that's the same thing. We want to be giggly and because it's long. I mean, it's long hours for everybody. But I leave at 11 o'clock and Mandy's car is there, and I get there at 9 and Mandy's car is there, and she has gone home. But
Briefly. Yeah. Yeah. But it's that again, to speak to Rue's involvement, oh my gosh, at every level. But it's like we strike this we try to strike this balance of like the history of pop culture and drag culture and queer culture and the current and the future and what is that balance. And I think that when we can find a little bit of all of that in one challenge, then that's really the sweet spot, just I don't know if that makes sense, but but it's kind
it's
of
kind of
magic what we're
universal.
doing.
The more things change, the more they
Yeah.
stay the same kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, and Rue is the real deal. So it's we do our best and everyone brings a different point of view, a different background, but Rue is the filter that makes it drag and makes it Drag Race.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the finale of this year. I mean, just the Queen's performances and that last lip sync. It's every year this finale. This finale just kind of blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
What was it with this finale that kind of was there anything coming into it that really surprised you or really excited you?
I mean, knowing that we had singing queens, that could really sing, and they'd made it to the end, and that it frees up Leland in a way, and Leland and the queens with production involved too, but they put their heads together and they come up with these ideas and these songs, and then Jamal comes in, and Jamal is a magical person. Jamal can takes you wherever you are, and makes you better, and
He's our
the
choreographer, Jamal
love.
Sims. Yeah.
Jamal Sims, I'm sorry. Doesn't
Yeah.
everyone know
Yeah.
who Jamal is? He puts the dance. But,
Yeah.
but he, just again, it's that teamwork. But those numbers, I think, we're just sounding cliche, but it's like they blew us away. They were like
Yeah.
spectacular numbers. There was no,
Yeah.
someone won the finale, but there were no first, second, third, fourth place performances. They were all spectacular. They were like,
Spectacular.
our version of like the Video Music Awards or the Oscars or something. They were just, I thought, really spectacular.
Right. And I what's important to understand is that they do, Tom touched on this, but we reach out to them, in the weeks leading up to the finale, and we're like, what are you inspired by right now? What are you feeling? What do you feel like from your season you need to revisit in this final song? What are you going to deliver in a minute and 90 seconds on that finale grand stage? And they come with ideas. They're very invested, and they work with Leland, who's incredibly talented and so good at helping them achieve their goals with it. And they even come in with like what they wanted, how a signature move they want to try to incorporate, or like, I want to wear XYZ. And so they took and now this time that they were able to actually provide their vocals. I mean, there's such ownership in it, and I think that really read on stage, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great finale. We had Liza Minnelli there.
I was gonna say the thing that maybe excited us all the most, and then no offense to the queens or anything, is that Liza Minnelli, you say living legend, and you're usually just hyping things. You're just like, a living legend.
Yeah.
Liza Minnelli. And, we always brainstorm, in the last few years, we've had Bob Mackie, we've had Elvira, now Liza, and we're like, who could we ask this year? And we get a little bolder and people understand the concept. And I think it was Ruth said Liza, and and Theron and Alicia, who are talent producers who are amazing, reach out. And there's like because she was doing her documentary, it was like, it was the time. And then it was a joy dealing with her people. It was a joy when she arrived with her brother Joey. I mean, like I'm an old MGM musical queen, and like to have Eliza there and the her connection to that. And then if you've seen her documentary, you know, I was reminded of her incredible talent and her and how far she's come and what a survivor she is, and that she came and was tickled pink to be there. She and Rue had the most fun on the stage, talking back and forth to each other, and it was beyond honor. I was not on my, you know, what do they say? It was not on my bingo card for 2025 that Liza would be on the
Right.
stage with RuPaul, and yet it made perfect sense. Things were always the drag gods look out for us, and the right people
Yeah.
show up at the right time. And Liza Minnelli on the grand finale, which again, I don't even dream that big happened, and it did.
It was great.
So you also mentioned a little bit about Leland and that this year, you know, the queens were singing, like they were great at singing. Is that kind of uncommon that the queens are great at singing, or that you have so many queens that are capable of singing?
I mean, just that we were surprised how good they all were. And it comes down, I hate to say it, but we record at a very tight schedule. And sometimes it can take a long time to record someone's vocals, and sometimes it can take and they were all, you know, professional, could get it done. So it was a different level of, and again, sometimes when people come back for All Stars, they've now have some recording experience, but these queens came with this natural ability. And we push ourselves because, you know, part of us as producers want the songs to be as loud and go as high and have as many octaves as possible, but we also do recognize the power, Mandy's always pushing us, of them singing themselves, and to write songs that maybe you can talk, maybe you can sing, maybe you can rap. You know, we've always done that. So but this group was an exceptional group of singers. And again, you look at it was from the first challenge, which was "Bitch, I'm a Drag Queen," where they were sort of like the greatest hits of the greatest memes of Drag Race music made into music, and
Mhm.
and then I still will watch at night because I'm a weirdo. Because you know I'm on the YouTube, and you know every now and then I will watch The Wicked Witch of Oz. I'll just watch it because it's
Yeah.
fun, it's fulfilling, and
Yeah.
it's also it's like a meal on the go. It's like a Broadway show, 2 hours. I don't have time for that, but I do have 12 minutes tonight to watch the entire Wicked Witch of Oz. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so and Ryan, just to answer your question, and maybe this wasn't exactly what you meant, but so far in the past 3 or 4 seasons where we've done these original songs as part of the finale, we've recorded it with vocalists, and as drag performers do, they've lip synced to them. They've weighed
Which is
in.
a totally legitimate art form that we do not
Yes,
do.
absolutely. And they've weighed in again still on the creative for it, the sound, the look, the vibe that they want to serve. But just knowing and having experience in the regular season, their vocals, you know, um, some better than others, of course, even in the finale, but being able to deliver a presence, even if it was a little talky or a little less, range, we were like, let's go for it. And I think it paid off big time. Yeah.
We're looking for star power, baby, star power.
Yeah.
Um, and you also brought up Jamal Sims, the choreographer, who, I mean, I've met him a couple of times. He's just a fantastic person,
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
sweetest guy.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about his work on the season? I mean, every season he kills it. He's a
Yeah.
choreographer.
We have to remember too, Jamal is part of the family for decades. Jamal used to dance background. I think they met when Jamal did background dancing for RuPaul's show in Vegas in like 1995. And then he was, when you watch the RuPaul show, the VH1 talk show, if you ever watch those tapes on VH1, one of those dancers you'll realize is Jamal. So he's been around forever. And you know, he's so advanced, and he's a director, he's a
Yeah.
choreographer, he's done things at the
He's a
bowl,
visionary. Yeah.
visionary.
Yeah.
And you'd think that would come with like a lot of extra or a lot of you know, and he's
Attitude. Yeah.
self, and that's why we have him on the judges panel, because he has a connection with the queens that you know the other judges could never have, because you know he is helping them physicalize, you know, their challenges and making them beautiful, and
Mhm.
really teaching them to fly in a lot of cases. Sometimes there's incredible queens, and even the queens that are like club queens who know how to blend, you know, they have their routine. Jamal will take that raw energy, that incredible raw talent, and he elevates it. And we have these amazing things, which again come together. We don't, we're safety first. They come together very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, it's an intense rehearsal process. And then again, and Mick Murray, our director, does an amazing job of covering them too. So Jamal is the best that as they come. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we shoot most of our episodes in, we say it comes together quickly. I mean, so quickly. Most of our episodes are done in 2 days. They receive the challenge, they prep for the challenge, and then they perform either the next day or later that day. Sometimes for these dance challenges, there's a dance rehearsal, but even those rehearsals are like 30, 40-minute sessions. So Jamal just has this extraordinary ability to recognize what somebody is going to be capable of, even if they don't realize they are, and what they're actually going to be able to excel at, both in that time frame, which is silly, you know, and very aggressive, but just in general, and pushes them to break through some of their anxieties about dancing, some of the stories they've told themselves about what they're capable of doing. And it's you know, the queens, they perform these challenges, they exit the stage, they give each other high fives and hugs. It's like it's a remarkable achievement for them, and Jamal is such an important part of that.
And it's not mean stage drama. It is real people confronting their fears and overcoming, you know, weaknesses to perform to their highest. And that's what Jamal brings to the show and the dancing brings to the show. And it's really, it's palpable, I think.
Yeah.
So another thing that I wanted to bring up, especially as executive producers here, you know, the series has been Emmy nominated like every year. It's just constantly getting these nominations, constantly being, you know, getting this sustained recognition. And it's something that is not entirely common for reality shows or unscripted, in the unscripted landscape, for a series to get this kind of recognition as it keeps going. So what is it like, and what does it mean to you as producers that this series, you've been able to keep it this fresh and it's still getting this kind of recognition?
Well, first, thank you very much for saying that. There's two quick things that come to mind is we've never been traditional in any way, not just because we're drag queens or a show about drag queens, but our show is on the air for 8 seasons on the, you know, the smallest network and on the face of the planet, growing, becoming a cult hit, you know, and becoming amazing before we were ever Emmy recognized. So we existed for a long time. And then the attention swung to us and people saw what we were doing and they rewarded the wonderful people involved. And that's incredible. And so nothing is, so the fact, and it's all organic, I guess. We've just do it out of, it is a labor of love. And we like to think we do it a little bit better every year. We don't do it for the awards. You know, for 8 years, we were making the show, never thinking about an Emmy, you know.
My God,
still don't really. It's not, those aren't, that's not the, is this Emmy Award winning what we're doing? In fact, we do the opposite. We'll be like pies in the face on the Emmy Award winning up a dunk tank, Emmy on the next, you know, you're the BBC.
Right.
And the only thing I'll say about Emmys at this point for me and for us is that the queens deserve them. RuPaul deserves them. And we live in 2 worlds where it's like in the show, we are surrounded by love and support and freedom. And then, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the world's a scary place right now. And it's scary for outside people, and drag can be vilified for no good reason. And I just want us to have whatever, if Emmy nominations and the attention that we get in Talking Now makes people aware of Drag Race, makes it harder for people to dismiss Drag Race. I don't, you know, corporate people or just different entities that may not understand the love and the lifeline that Drag Race is. I was at my college reunion and my freshman roommate has a son who's in his 20s who I hadn't seen him for, you know, a bunch of years. And he's like, oh, he came out as gay when he was 16. And he said Drag Race really saved his life. And it's like, what? Because I was thinking, oh my God, a bunch of straight people at my reunion. What am I going to talk about? And it's like, that kind of message we all hear in different ways.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that's why we set out to do it. It's just we're made by queer people for queer people. You don't have to be gay to love RuPaul's Drag Race. It helps. And so that's what Emmys mean to me. Anyway, that was supposed to be short and it came out long. Mandy.
Well, ditto. I mean, you hear it even in the story of the queens, and how the growing up with the ability to see people like them and to hear stories about people like them, on television, on streaming devices, how much it matters to their existence, and now to, of course, to how much the queens being on matters to people who are coming up watching them. It's a beacon of light, I think, for a lot of people who are looking for to see themselves represented on screen, and to laugh sometimes when it's some hard times, when it can be hard to find the humor in things, and to continue to be recognized, gives me hope, and others, that this is something that we can continue to do.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee, obviously.
We have incredible people in our category. We have incredible people that make television in general. But a lot of the tropes of reality TV have always been. When I first said to Rue, we want to do this in 2008, I was like, Rue, let's do a reality show. It was anything but a competition elimination show. And he said, because it was so mean at that time. It used to be Joe Millionaire and all those kind of things and twists. And reality can be mean. Reality can showcase the worst parts of people. And listen, we put people under pressure. They crack. They have foibles. There's shade thrown. But our show, it has to be. It's love. It's love, 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 love. And we put people through a pressure cooker. It is this camp. It's a boot camp. It's a whatever. It's the most amazing experience where they get to do something creative every day. But it's also it's a lot for them to do. But at the end of the day, we are selling transformation. And that what does Ruth say? He says that the most powerful thing you can do is become the image of your own imagination.
Manifestation of your imagination.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we're selling, and that's not what we put on the posters or whatever. But I think that's what touches people. I think that might be why people are so supportive of our show. The wonderful Academy members. So.
Right.
No, what's on the posters is you don't have to be gay to love RuPaul's Drag Race, but it helps.
Sure does help.
It's the new slogan for Drag Race.
We'll take it. Look for the premiere of next year. Thank you very much.
It is funny also hearing that it didn't want to be a competition show because they can be mean. I think that's also why people were surprised when the Great British Bake Off started airing in America, and people were like, why are people so nice to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that the spirit of the show truly is a celebration. It's a celebration of art and laughter and love and incredible feats and foibles. It's about just enjoying life, and what does Bruce say? Drawing with all the colors in the crayon box. And
I also think, and this is just because we're old, but I grew up watching the Sonny and Cher show, watching Carol Burnett. We all, Rue, and this is kind of the closest thing to a variety show that exists. And yes, there's a competition that's really important. But the idea that you don't know what you're going to see the next week, and that we're always trying to do something different and entertain you. And there's some swings and misses, but it tickles people. Funny bone. We try. It's hard when we talk about all those serious stuff because we try not to take ourselves too seriously.
Right.
And and Rue always says that, and that's usually his note. And like, okay, how do you? And stupid is our code word. How do you make it like silly? How do you make drag doesn't take itself too seriously? Have some fun. And boy, do we need fun now more than ever.
Yeah.
It is definitely a series that I can say personally is something that is a light to look at. It is something fun when drag is not being treated great in this world. But Drag Race is definitely something I always look forward to watching.
I'm
Personally.
trying to create a hashtag, and this, let me try to say hashtag long live the Queens. That's what long live the Queens. That's what I'm hoping for in our current climate.
So we're wrapping up here, but last thing I wanted to ask before we end, was there any big highlight for either of you in this season? Anything that really stood out to you?
Singular highlight. I mean, for me, it's every day. Seriously, every day.
I have distinct memories of the day that we shot the Squirrel Games and how ecstatic and giggly we all were. The same thing, when there's a performance that's like, ta-da, we're done, wrap, cut, you get that exhilaration in the, like you're at the Super Bowl or a moon launch. You're like, yes, everybody. And that happened again with the Rusical. And that was the way it felt at the grand finale too. You're just like, because we're rooting for them too, and you're at the edge of your seat. Are they going to fall? Are they going to do? And those moments are like football or sports moments to me anyway.
Yeah, and the finales, the premieres are special in their own incredible way. The queens arrive on set having not yet met one another, being isolated and kept apart until the moment that they're, in this case, brought to the Squirrel Game set, and encountering each other for the first time. So those one-on-one meet and greets that we do with them for the first time when they're in their drag, getting mic'd, and we're saying, okay, well, here's how it's going to work, and seeing their enthusiasm and anxiety and excitement and nervousness, and experiencing that with them in the first moments, and then having that last hug in the workroom after the finale. When they've gone through this extraordinary journey together as a cast, and they've had this experience that only they experienced for the particular season, and broader than that, for sure. There's hundreds of Ru girls, but this is their season and their moment. I'm always so very proud to be a part of it. I thank them at each finale for allowing us to be a part of their journey. And I don't know. You ask for a moment. I have how long you have to talk about it. Really.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. Otherwise, I give you so many moments. Seriously. But thank you so much, Mandy and Tom, for joining me for this panel. And thank you, everyone who stuck around to watch.
Thank you.
And, if you haven't watched RuPaul's Drag Race, something's wrong with you. And go watch it.
You don't have to be gay to watch, but it sure
helps.